Hello and good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whenever you're watching this. Welcome to the show. This is Ask a Lawyer on CP24. My name, John Scholes. Momentarily, Lior Samfiru, employment lawyer at EmploymentLawyer.ca, will be joining us. And we always tell you off the top of every show, reach out to Lior. You have workplace issues, employment laws, want to brush up on them, learn something, just ask a basic question. Could be something much more extensive. Same phone number, same email every time, 1-855-821-5900. Ask at EmploymentLawyer.ca. You're thinking, yeah, okay, Scholes, I need a website to go along with. There is only one you should be using. Will not get you into trouble. Lead you in the right direction. That is PocketEmploymentLawyer.ca. We always have phone calls, emails over this half hour. Main topic as well. This one's a good one this week. You're still owed severance pay if... We'll get to those talking points in the second segment, as you know. Lots to go. Lior, welcome to the show. You always get us humming and warmed up with the week that was. What do you got going on this week, pal?
John, great to be here. Great to be joining you to talk about employment law, to try to help as many people as possible. I'm very fortunate to have this opportunity to speak here about such an important topic. People sometimes stop me on the street and say, hey, I learned something, or I didn't realize I had these rights until I saw you on TV. That's fantastic. That's the point of the show. We want to make sure that you know what to do if you're facing a workplace issue, what to do if your boss is not meeting its obligations, if you're not being treated properly, if the job you had is no more, you name it. If there's a workplace issue you're faced with, we try to deal with those here on the show every single week. Of course, this is only a 30-minute show, so we can't obviously talk about every single issue. That's why you have another option, which is to reach me in the office by phone or email. You'll see that information throughout the show, so please use that. But I want you to take away from the show the fact that you have rights. And there's never a situation where the law says, oh, too bad, you're left without options. There's options, there's rights, there's things that you can do. And on the show, we try to cover as much of that as possible. And let's start off with the case of the day. Now, when it comes to severance, obviously, one of the biggest factors is the length of service. The more years of service you have, generally, the more severance you get. Well, sometimes you actually may have more service years than you realize. An example, I spoke with a gentleman who had worked for the same employer for about 18 years, and about 2 years ago, he decided to retire. He wanted to leave, to be done, so he retired. They threw him a nice party. They bought him a cake, and he retired. He thought he was done. Was fast forward about 5-6 months later, company calls him and said, listen, man, we really could use you back. We're going to make you a really good offer for you to come back here and help us out. So eventually said, yeah, okay, no problem. They made him a good offer. He was kind of happy to go back, and he did. Well, fast forward to now, company let him go. And they're saying, well, you're a 2-year employee because you came back from that retirement 2 years ago. So we're going to pay you severance as a 2-year employee. Well, he calls me, and is he really a 2-year employee? No, he's not. He's really a 20-year employee. The 18 years he had before he retired, and then the 2 years he had after retirement. He's a 20-year employee. And why is that? Well, generally speaking, if you're worked for the company for a while and then you come back later, but they don't treat you like a new employee, they treat you like you had that past seniority, well, that seniority counts. So in most cases, even if there's a gap in employment, in most cases, all years will count towards your seniority and your severance. For him, that's the difference between being owed maybe 4 months severance and 24 months severance. So I want you to remember that. When it comes to gaps in employment, that gap potentially could be disregarded. You may still be getting credit for all years of service. This is just one example of the many reasons why you should get advice if you lost your job. You'd be surprised of the rights and the source of those rights. So always, always reach out if you lost your job.
Lior, 2 quick questions. Question number 1, did he get a cake when he came back? Probably not, right?
No cake. Can you believe it?
That's unbelievable. That's not very nice. But the second question for real is, if you're going to put on your employer hat now, is there something they could have done to avoid calling him a 20-year employee when he came back for re-employment?
Absolutely. They should have had a proper employment agreement specifically saying, hey, we are treating you like a new employee. We're not recognizing any past service whatsoever. You're a new employee starting now. If the employment agreement said that explicitly, then they could have disregarded that past service. They didn't do that. They, in fact, treated him like he had those 18 years with him. So they have to pay him severance now for the full 20 years.
We have time before a break to get to a first phone call of the show, Lior, so listen up. Let's get to it.
My wife was laid off, and she just received this week a notice of termination. She's been employed at this location for 13 years. They have offered her 8 weeks of severance, plus a gratuitous on top of that of $2,500.
What do you think?
So let me tell you what this gratuitous payment means. Company saying, we only owe you 8 weeks, but we're going to be nice. We're going to give you an extra $2,500. But you know what? Don't test us. To get that extra gift, this extra $2,500, you have to accept this by Friday. Or if you don't accept by Friday, we're just not going to give it to you. And many people say, well, I want this extra money, so I'm going to accept by Friday. No, no, no. That's nonsense, because she's owed much more than 8 weeks plus $2,500. And that deadline is a pressure tactic. That's it. It's intended to make you be afraid that you're going to lose something. She's owed a heck of a lot more than 8 weeks plus $2,500. I'm going to show you how much she's owed. I'm going to use the severance calculator tool for that. You can find that at pocketemploymentlawyer.ca. And let's see what the real math is. So she's 58, is a supervisor, been there for 13 years, as we've just heard. Company says, you're going to give you 8 weeks plus $2,500. Ridiculous. You see, she's owed 16 months of pay. 16 months, not weeks, but months. So imagine that terrible offer, 8 weeks plus $2,500 with a deadline. Ridiculous. So that's a wrongful dismissal. I can help get that 16 months. Same with you at home. If you're let go, I don't care what the offer is, you can't accept it before we talk.
That is the classic. If you sign now, you get the free set of steak knives. So ignore that. Move right on to Lior. We got to take one quick break. You're still owed severance if ... We'll get to those on the other side as we continue Ask a Lawyer right here on CP24. Don't go anywhere.
Lost your job? Disability denied? Ask a Lawyer is here for you. Each week, experts from EmploymentLawyer.ca answer your questions. Visit cp24.com/askalawyer and watch Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 p.m. on CP24.
Alrighty, welcome back to Ask a Lawyer. This is CP24. Thanks for sticking around through that little break. We always tell you to reach out to Lior and his team with any employment law, workplace matters. Phone number, 1-855-821-5900. Email right there, ask@employmentlawyer.ca. Scan the QR code to get in touch as well. It is main topic time, and I really like this one, Lior. You are still owed severance pay if. A lot of people are going to go, really? I did not know that. So we'll get to the first one. You are still owed if you are misclassified as a contractor or possibly working in a special industry. I'm thinking like contractor or construction, rather. They think they never get severance, maybe for a federal employee, things like that, right?
Yeah, there's so many misconceptions about who doesn't get severance, and it's almost always wrong. So first of all, someone that's supposedly a contractor, but they've been misclassified. If you have a job, you work for one company, they tell you what to do, you are an employee in the eyes of the law, and you're owed your full severance. Doesn't matter what they call you or what you call yourself, because you've been misclassified. So yes, even quote-unquote contractors get severance if they lose their job. Now, some other misconception is like construction employees don't get severance. Nonsense. Of course they get severance. They get the same amount of severance that anyone else does. So if you're federally regulated, if you're provincially regulated, if you're in construction, does not matter. You still get severance. The only time you don't get severance is if you quit voluntarily, if you've done something terrible. Otherwise, it's very simple. If you had a job and you lost that job because the company let you go, you're going to be owed your full severance.
Lior, you are still owed severance if you are fired or at least let go for restructuring, performance issues, even economic impact. Yeah?
So here's the thing. Even if the company has, quote unquote, a good reason to let you go, you are still owed severance. So maybe you've made a mistake. That gives the company a bit of a reason to let you go. You're still owed severance unless you've done something awful. Unless you stole or you hit somebody, yeah, you're still going to get your full severance. Maybe it's a restructuring, so they're not picking on you. Maybe it's bad economic times. A lot of companies are struggling. All these things may give the company a reason, a legitimate reason to let you go. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't relieve them of the obligation to pay you your full severance as much as 24 months pay. Big company, small company, it does not matter. They have to pay you your full amount of severance. The only time, again, you're not going to get that severance is if you've committed very serious workplace misconduct. You stole, you hit somebody, you committed fraud. Yeah, you're not going to get severance. And pretty much anything short of that, if you lost your job, you're going to be owed severance.
Finally, Lior, one more. You are still owed severance if you're let go for health or medical reasons as well, yeah?
And what I see sometimes happening, an employee is unable to work because of a health or a medical issue, and the company lets them go while you can't work, and that's why you don't have a job anymore. Well, no. Just because you can't work doesn't mean the company can let you go and avoid paying you severance. First of all, they may not be allowed to let you go at all. That could be potentially a human rights violation. Okay, you can take a leave and be off until you're ready to come back to work. But if the company does let you go, even though you can't work, of course you're going to be owed your full severance. I'm going to take it a step further, John. If you're let go when you're sick or dealing with an injury, not only do you get severance, you would be owed more severance than if you were healthy. Why? Because it's going to be more difficult to find another job. And if it's more difficult to find another job, the company that you worked for has to pay you even more severance to account for that.
Love these weekly topics. We're done for that one, but we still got time for another phone call before the break, Lior, so let's get into that. Listen up.
I was recently pressured to resign from my position based on a private encrypted chat. Fortunately, the chat did take place during work hours, during downtime, but ultimately they cited me for workplace respect, code of conduct, and social media policies for my resignation. And there was a lot of pressure tactics and duress in order to settle this. I was just wondering if they had grounds to pressure someone to resign.
First of all, the one thing I want you to understand that pressuring someone to resign is a bit of an oxymoron. It can't happen only because by definition, a resignation is something that you do voluntarily. You do it on your own. So a company can't force you to do something on your own. They can let you go, but they can't force you to resign. Unless they're coming into your house with a baseball bat threatening they're going to break your knees, well, they can't force you to resign. And the answer should always be, no, I'm not resigning. I can't stop you, employer, from doing what you want to do, but I'm not resigning. Don't make it easier for them so they can try to avoid paying you severance. Now, he may have made a mistake here. He may have behaved inappropriately. That does not relieve the company from the obligation to pay severance. There's other things the company could do. They could give him a warning. They could give him better training. They can impose some other discipline, but they can't just fire him for cause if this was an isolated incident. So no, if the company is pressuring you to resign, the answer should be very simple. Look them in the eye and say, no, I am not resigning. I'm staying right here.
And that's where we are now. We like to, at this point in the show, there's another whole half of what Lior's firm does. That's disability law. A lot of interplay between the two. That's why it's so important we talk about it for a segment, which we will do on the other side of the break. In the meantime, stick around. There is more Ask a Lawyer coming up right here on CP24.
Lost your job? Disability denied? Ask a Lawyer is here for you. Each week, experts from EmploymentLawyer.ca answer your questions. Visit cp24.com/askalawyer and watch Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 p.m. on CP24.
Okay, welcome back to Ask a Lawyer, CP24. John Scholes here, Lior Samfiru here as well every week. We always tell you, feel free to reach out. In fact, you should. If you have any employment law problems going on in the workplace, just make the phone call. Could be something simple, cure it in a phone call. Could go further, that's fine. Use the same number, 1-855-821-5900. And for the purpose of this disability segment, the other half of what Lior's firm does, it's ask at disabilityrights.ca. And again, use the QR code right there on the top right of your screen. Okay, Lior, I did mention disability law. The other half of what the firm does, there's lots of interplay. There's lawyers going back and forth, using each other, talking to each other. Tell me a little bit about more how that sphere works in your office, and then we'll carry on to a couple of questions, right?
So there's two main things that can happen or can go wrong if you're having a medical issue or an injury or a disability. The first is your employer. They may not be able to accommodate you, or they may threaten you, or they may let you go. And we've always been able to help people deal with those situations. But there's another scenario that's unfortunately very common, and that is dealing with your disability insurer. way too often, I do mean way too often, disability insurers cut off people or deny them disability benefits despite the fact that they've met the criteria because the insurance company would rather not pay. And for years, we weren't able to help people in that situation. That's changed a while ago. We have now an amazing team who's dedicated to helping people in these disability issues, to help them get benefits, whether it's from an insurance company or from the government, so that they continue living while they're unable to work. If you've been denied disability benefits, you got to call me. We have the best team to make sure that you get that help.
All right, let's keep it moving, Lior. I mentioned 2 questions. The first one's a phone call. Let's get to that first. We'll listen up, and then I'm going to ask you one from email as well. So here we go.
I have long COVID, fatigue, brain fog, sensitivity to light. I can't stay on a screen for more than short periods. My adjuster says there isn't enough objective evidence. They want daily activity logs, multiple video check-ins, which actually make my symptoms worse. How can I properly prove something that doesn't always show up on tests? Do I have to agree to their demands?
This is a classic example of an insurance company trying to hold on to any possible reason to deny disability benefits. Some things don't show up on an X-ray, like long COVID or even mental health issues. And an insurance company can say, well, how do we know that this is the truth? We're not going to take your word or the doctor's word for it, so we're not going to pay you. Well, guess what? They have to pay you. And they do have to follow your doctor's orders and follow what your doctor says, even if it doesn't show up on an X-ray. You don't just qualify for disability benefits if it shows up on an X-ray. And in terms of, do you do what the insurance company says? Well, if it's going to make your medical condition worse, then no. You need to talk to your doctor, and your doctor needs to explain why doing what the insurance company says is going to make it actually worse. If the insurance company still won't approve you for benefits, deny, threaten you, let us deal with it. They're not going to play those games with us. Once they hear from us, they put their head down, they sigh, and they say, yeah, okay, fine, you got us. We'll do what we have to do. So don't try to fight that insurance company on your own. It's not a fair fight. Even it out that fight by calling us and let us help.
And by the way, before I get to the email, Lior, as you know, once you guys get involved and take over the case, that insurance company can no longer contact them. So talk about a breath of relief right there for sure to lower the stress even more. Email question right here, second one for this particular segment. Here we go. Can an insurance company actually stop someone's LTD payments just because they have surveillance footage? What do you think?
So, John, the whole thesis of this segment was telling you that insurance companies are trying to find a reason to deny or cut off benefits. And what they may do in some cases is, well, let's do surveillance. Let's see if this person is really sick so that we can try to find a reason maybe to cut them off. But the fact that there's surveillance doesn't mean that they can just cut off your benefits or deny benefits. So maybe the surveillance shows that you went to buy groceries. But what it doesn't show is that you were in pain for the next 2 days, that you had to take medication, that you couldn't leave the house after. So the fact that there's some surveillance does not mean that the company or the insurance company can just deny those benefits. Don't worry about it. They may try. They may say, we have this smoking gun. It's probably not the case. Unless you're playing basketball when you're supposed to be wheelchair bound, it's probably something that's going to be fine. So don't give up just because the insurance company is trying to tell you that they know better. Call us and let us deal with it.
And with that, we'll take our one last break for the show. Lior, come back with another phone call on the employment law side. So stick around for that as we continue Ask a Lawyer on CP24.
Lost your job? Disability denied? Ask a Lawyer is here for you. Each week, experts from EmploymentLawyer.ca answer your questions. Visit cp24.com/askalawyer and watch Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 p.m. on CP24.
And we return with a few more minutes of Ask a Lawyer on CP24 again after the show. And anytime going forward, feel free to reach out to Lior and the team for more information. If you need them on your case to help out, 1-855-821-5900. Email ask@employmentlawyer.ca. We are going to wrap up the show again this week, Lior, with a phone call. Good question, too. Listen up. Here it comes.
Been laid off. I was working there for 18 years, and I was getting ready to send in to ask for my severance. But in the last 3 weeks, my health has deteriorated. Does this change everything? Because I still get the benefits. And because I still get the benefits, they have long-term disability, I believe, on there. Should I not ask for what should I do?
So, yeah, probably the smartest thing would be to try to qualify for long-term disability benefits in this scenario, okay? That's what you want to do. And that could potentially pay you till the age of 65 and get those benefits while you're recovering. Now, once you're better, at that point is the time to get your full severance. And of course, the time that you spend on a layoff does count towards your severance. Remember, an employer does not just have the right to put you on a temporary layoff. So the last piece of the puzzle is, well, how much severance would he be owed? I'm going to take you once again to EmploymentLawyer.ca to use that severance calculator, which you could do at home for free and anonymously. Let's see what that gives us for this person. At the age of 55, after 18 years, he's been put on a temporary layoff, which the company is not allowed to do. The severance that he's owed, right around 18 months pay. And again, that's probably conservative. It could be even 20 and 22 months of severance. But anywhere from that 18 to 22 months of severance, that's what he's owed. By the way, you at home, pocket EmploymentLawyer.ca to use the severance calculator. No names, no phone numbers. And if you want to, you can even reach me directly from that calculator. So check it out.
And it illustrates perfectly why you should just make that phone call and reach out. Do not go forward without the right advice. And I'll give you that number and email as we wrap up for another weekly Or. Thank you so much always, and thank you for watching. And that would be 1-855-821-5900. Use it whenever you need it, and ask at EmploymentLawyer.ca. Any other concerns, you can also go to cp24.com/askalawyer. Thank you so much, and we will catch you next week. Enjoy the rest.